Everybody hear that? I didn't want to scare anybody. I would like to call the meeting of the Residents Council to order. If we can get quiet, I would appreciate it. Thank you very much, ladies. Madam Secretary, do we have a quorum? We do. And you've all received copies of the agenda. Is there any additions or corrections to the agenda? This is not working?
It's not high enough.
Not high enough. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll try to do this. All right.
Do you want me to tell the additions to the agenda?
Do we? Yes, let's get the secretary to read the additions to the agenda, please. We'll get the hang of this. Honestly, we will.
Okay, if you have agendas, council, the additions are under the chairman's report. We will approve Tom Edmonds as parliamentarian. Under committee reports, under dining, Helen Singleton is going to give the. Okay, she's going to help give the report for dining, and Chuck Webb is going to give the health committee report. And just so you know, Dan Williams was planned to be here today, and he emailed me this morning, and he said that he has 2 appointments today, so to conserve energy, he's going to not be here, but he wanted me to tell you all that he plans to fill out his term. So there we go. And I don't know where Fred is going to give all these reports, but he is also going to give a brief Garth Administration Committee report and an update on the Finance Special Interest Group.
Those
Correct?
will all be under committee reports.
Is that Finance Special?
I don't really have anything to report on finance.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Okay, but you.
Juanita could report on that.
Okay. Okay. That under Juanita's report, she'll give that. All right. So those are the additions to the
Any other
agenda.
additions or corrections to the agenda? Can I get a motion to approve? Second? All those in favor, please so signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. It's adopted. Thank you very much. The agenda is good. Next on the list is the election of Gary Hannenberg to fill the open position on the board. Are there any nominations from the floor? Hearing none. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you very much, Gary. Welcome to the board.
Thank you, Gary.
And also, I'd like to get board approval for Tom Edmonds, who has agreed to serve as parliamentarian for the group. Here. He's ready and to leave the ground running. So, any other nominations from the floor? Hearing none. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Thank you, Tom. Look forward to seeing you.
I hope I never have to make a ruling.
I hope you never have to. We want him to be the least utilized member of the executive committee. I'll turn it over to the vice chair. You got a mic right there, I think.
My main job as vice chair is to recruit members to run for the board next year. And it I'll run for the council next year. And that would seem easy. Is this not working?
Yes, you got to hold it real close.
That would seem easy because there's only 4 of us rotating off next year. But the problem is, because of some upheavals on the board a few years ago, there are 6 openings the following year. So we have decided that it would be nice for the next vice chair if we could get at least 6 or 7 people to run for the board this year, so that there would be several people left over to run the following year and make up that deficit. We're not looking for any candidates right now, but if anybody is interested, you can let me know. And if anybody is interested on being on the nominating committee, also let me know. Thank you.
All right, we'll move on to the secretary's report.
Okay, the March minutes were approved by virtual vote of both councils, even though some of them had not yet taken their position. Also, I have VicNet instructions for all of you to record your volunteer hours for the time that you prepare for and attend the council meetings. So if you need information on how to get on VicNet, Diane Malia can help you, or here's some written instructions. And I passed out this council contact list for 2025 to 2026. Please take a look at your information and make any corrections that need to be made and give them to me at the end of the meeting, so that I can update with correct information by the next meeting. I think that's everything.
And the treasurer's report?
Hi, this is my first meeting, and transferring treasurer stuff from a Mac to a PC is a little bit difficult, but we got it done. I just wanted to let you all know that the total amount that came in was $685, and checks that were cashed that had been written back in November were $117, and all of that went to the Employee Appreciation Fund. And so we leave the month of March with a balance of $14,006.61. Are there any questions?
Have the outstanding checks been cashed?
Yes, the outstanding checks, that was, there were two of them, I think. Well, I think probably all those were, yeah. So that was down at the bottom, and it was sort of half crossed out.
Is that it? Are we done?
Yep.
Okay. Moving on to the next item, unfinished business. We have some certificates of appreciation. Oh, we have to vote on the, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Do I hear a motion to approve the treasurer's report? So moved. Anyone second? Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Ayes have it. Treasurer's report is accepted. Thank you very much. Now we can move on to unfinished business. I have some certificates of appreciation to offer here to the people who went off the board after the last meeting. So if you could come up when I call your name. We have these nice little certificates to give you. Steve Bray. Okay. Thank you very much, Mr. Bray. Stay up here. And Vicki Truman. Thank you very much. Steve Timmers. Our much beleaguered treasurer.
Roberta Ingracia is not here today, but I'm going to read this certificate of appreciation for everyone to hear what it says. The Independent Living Residents Council of Covenant Woods appreciates your service and the time, talent, and efforts you offered during your term of office as a member of the council. Again, thank you for your service.
Thank you all very much. And you have a plaque to show.
I'd like to show everybody this plaque. This hangs outside of the club room. And it is the honor roll of past chairman of the resident council. And the names of Roberta Ingracia and Steve Bray have been added. So this will go back up on the wall until it's time to add a new name to the plaque. So take a look outside today, and it hangs outside the club room. Thank you.
All right, moving on to new business. We want the treasurer to speak, I think.
Gave it to me. The computer for the residents' council information, as I've mentioned, it has been a bit difficult converting from a PC to a, to a PC from a Mac. And so the executive committee would like to recommend that the resident council buy a computer for the sole use.
Just get the mic closer to your mouth.
Oh, closer, okay. Yes. To buy a computer for the sole use of the resident council treasurer. This computer would be used only for resident council treasurer business. It would alleviate a lot of trouble when a new treasurer is elected. I know. The computer would be passed on to the next treasurer, and 3 quotes will be procured, and the executive committee will make a decision on this. Therefore, I move that the resident council buy a computer for the resident council treasurer to be used only for residential council business. The computer and its contents would be passed on to succeeding treasurers.
All right, you've heard the motion. Any discussion on the motion? Go ahead.
As you mentioned before, you had difficulty going from Apple to Mac or Mac to
PC, right.
computer style, right?
Yes.
How is that gonna go away? What kind of computer are we gonna buy? Apple or Android or whatever other kind is?
I think the inclination right now is to go with a Dell PC, but we have to get the quotes first. Anything else? Janet? Chromebook? We have not gotten any quotes yet.
Chromebooks, they're under $100 and they last for a long time and they can do pretty much anything a computer can do.
That's a good suggestion.
Easy to
Yeah.
I went down to talk to the IT person, Pete. I thought he was going to be here today. And he said after we look at whatever it is we're interested in and get quotes on price and indication as to how powerful the computer or Chromebook is and what it could do, he would be able to give us advice on what he thought would be the best for council for whatever price we're looking at.
Anything else? Go ahead.
In the IT department world, with all the computers, there's no spare computer that can be used?
No, he said he didn't have any to give us.
We tried that. That was the first option we tried.
This
Any-
would also solve the problem a few years ago. We had a treasurer who refused to delete everything from his personal computer. I thought he needed to hold on to it, so this would alleviate that problem also.
Any other comments from the group? Yes.
suggestion that you consider using Google Sheets, and that wouldn't cost us anything. You can control the security on that, limit it to just the email addresses that you have access to.
Google Sheets.
Google Sheets.
Okay, that's a suggestion.
I have no idea what that is.
We'll look it up. We'll find out.
Yeah.
It's like Excel, except same as Excel, except it's on the web.
Yeah.
All you need is a Google account, which is free.
Okay.
Okay, if it's on the web, then isn't that,
Is it secure?
yeah, it is secure?
Good idea. Thank you for the suggestion. Any other comments? Yeah, we've got a
well,
motion on the floor. Can I get a second? Seconded, moved and seconded. All those in favor say aye. Opposed, no. Thank you very much. That's approved.
Just to answer your question, which we didn't, there will be one step eliminated when the new treasurer takes over. If they are used to, to the other type of, they will not have to switch and move everything. They just have to get a little bit of learning about. That's been the biggest problem is getting the information transferred.
Okay, one of the things that the committee has faced, excuse me, is the archivist. We have had an archivist who has done a wonderful job and wants to pass it along. So I'm putting out a call for anyone who is interested or anybody who knows anybody who's interested, who might be qualified to be the archivist for council. If you need to know more about what the job entails or anything like that, it's not terribly demanding, but we want to get somebody who's interested in doing it. So I'm putting out a call for that.
Can I say something about that? In the current standing rules of the council that you can find on Katie, Steve was kind enough to make a list of archivist responsibilities. They're attachment number 9, and they're in the standing rules of the resident council. So if you have an interest in being an archivist, please take a look at these guidelines, responsibilities, and anybody on the council would be glad to hear from you.
Okay, we'll move to committee reports. Betty, go ahead.
Hold the microphone close to your mouth.
Hello, can you hear me? Okay, the activity, I'm with the Activities Committee, and we met last month, of course, and we have had 2 resignations from our committee. So Pat Hasty is our chairman and chairperson, and she's hoping we can enlarge our committee. We meet the 2nd Thursday of the month, so we meet next Thursday, the 10th, at 10 o'clock in the treetops. So if anybody's looking for a committee, they might want to come and visit our committee and see what they think of us. I think they would like it. There are good things coming up in April, which you've all kind of noticed in connections. I will mention a couple. The Tulip and Tea Spring event on April 23rd is open, and it's 2 to 4 on the Center Point front porch. That should be really, really fun. Also, the Rainbow Trout Granola Tasting and Tour on April 24th, 1:30 to 3:30 is still available. April 17th, 10 to 11 in the multi-purpose room, as a national park ranger will give a talk on the 7 days battle in 1862. Friday, April the 11th, 1:30 to 4:30 at the Virginia Museum of Fine Arts. There is an exhibition on 20th century Mexican artist Frida and her extraordinary work. Of course, this afternoon from 3 to 4, you all know, a talk by Valerie Gaffney. She's the president pro temp of the Virginia Bluebird Society, and she's going to be here today to talk about the lifestyle of the bluebird. There's a lot more in here, but that's kind of what I wanted to stress.
Pass the mic. It doesn't matter what order you're in, just take the mic and go.
Oh, we're doing it that way. Okay, I've been the chairman of the new resident committee for a long time, but I wasn't on the council before. I want to make one comment. Please know this is a council, not a board. A lot of people said it wrong. The board are the administrative people who have power over and hire Dr. Wright. And the chairman of the council is Dave DeBarja. But anyway, that's my pet peeve.
Thank you for keeping us straight on that.
Okay. the new resident committee has had one resignation from Susan Postel, who'd been on the committee for like 6 years, and she felt like somebody else needed to do it, and wanted something different. And then we have a new person, Lee Nelson, and she sitting back there beside Vicki, and so she's joining the group. Marketing reported for 16 individuals, 10 units, which will have move-ins during the month of April and into June. And she also reported there are holds in the Manor and Manor West for another couple of people. The marketing people have just been going wild, responding to people wanting to come here. And we have some unique things that I don't think any other facility has. The bees, the farm, and just a wonderful group of people. And there will be the yard sale at Helen Singleton's garage and driveway on the 10th and 11th of next week. And the proceeds will go to the Covenant Fund, which helps people who are running out of money. The spring cleaning and downsizing event will be held at Center Point on April 24th from 10 to noon. And that's where they're going to have a whole bunch of people come in, like the shredder and people that will take various and sundry things. So look at that in the connections. Let's see, there's a block party for residents and prospectives on April 15th, starting at noon at the M-Wing parking lot, and the Kent Alley Last Call Band will be performing. So I think I covered everything. Thank you.
Pass it to the other.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Well, good morning. How's everybody doing? I am so pleased that my name tag name is spelled right. Very seldom does that happen. Everything that Linda said I was going to say. Just kidding. I'm the new guy on the block, but Vicki Truman has some notes that she'd like to share on our behalf.
Okay, only two things. The library committee did not meet last month. We will be meeting.
Can we get you a mic?
I have a loud voice. Okay, all right. The library committee did not meet last month. They will be meeting next week, April 10th at 11 o'clock in the club room. The two things I wanted to mention is the wall hanging made by Minnie Remy for Bob Tate has been hung in the library. It looks really nice, and people have said they're enjoying it. I also, within the next 3 weeks, will be adding 7 new large print books to the library. And I will have the titles in the communique next week, if that's okay with Megan, who's not here. Okay, that's it.
Okay, thank you.
Do you want to do the dining committee while you're?
On behalf of the dining committee, we wanted to express our appreciation to Helen Singleton for the outstanding job she has done as both a member and chair of the committee. Members of the committee serve on a rotating cycle, and Helen rotates off after this month. But she has one last chore. Because I was unable to attend the last meeting, she's going to make the report from the last meeting of the committee.
Thank you. The dining data for the month of March included 22,400 484 meals. I'm sorry, that's for the month of February. Food satisfaction was 92%, service satisfaction 100%, and a total of 152 comment cards. We do appreciate the comment cards, and you did better for March. You'll have to wait and see what that was. But please continue the comment cards. Constructive criticism is welcome. Don't just say, I didn't like it. It's no good unless you tell us why. We can't improve if we don't know. Also, lovely comments are appreciated because our staff love pats on the back, and we certainly could not make it without our marvelous staff. In that respect, we continue to hear a few complaints to the staff from residents. Please do not complain to the staff. They're here to serve us. They like to please us. And it's no point in arguing with them. They don't set any of their policy. They do everything to make sure that we have what we need. So appreciate what we have. Also, new ice cream containers have been purchased, and I've seen many of them go out with larger quantities than were previously served at a slight increase in price. But it's better than you can get anywhere else, and we can't do without ice cream. We know that the Easter season is coming, and Mother's Day, and the Spring Block Party, which all include food. Make sure you check out the dates and take part in those. Mother's Day is filling up quickly, so I think there's still some reservations in Easter, yeah, one of those holidays, Easter. Watch where you step at the farm. We have some new residents that have moved in. People call them snakes, so be careful and don't step on any. Most of them are just garden snakes, but, you know, don't want to step on them. Also, the bees are continuing to brood. Please don't go too close to them. We don't want to stop them while they're making their honey. We should have wonderful honey soon available, and we want to enjoy that. We expect to have 20 to 30 gallons this year, gallons, so that'll be good. We'd like to welcome Keith Dugan, Ann Mustian, Kay Steele, and Steve Sykes to the committee this year, and Steve and Alinda will serve as co-chair. Thank you.
And in the interim, just let me remind everybody that we are running a clock on you, and you have 3 minutes or less to give your reports. Who's next? Over
You
here?
want me to do mine since the mic's over here?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Just have a couple things for decor. Kudos to the Cordises who went to their storage room on their floor, and they found some things sitting out in the aisles. They were in no one storage cage. They were just sitting there. Nobody had used them in years, and they donated them to the yard sale. So if in your storage area there's stuff that shouldn't be there, that's not in someone's individual cage, it doesn't belong there, then let us know. We'll be happy to come and pick it up. And again, Helen's Garage is filling up. It's going to be great fun, I think, at the yards. It is, believe me, something for everyone. Oh, I know, one more thing. You know, the two display cabinets that we have, this one over in the manor here and this one in the lodge, and we're always, Dick does the one here, I do the one over in the lodge. We're always looking for people that have collections. I mean, just the other day, we put just a few bunnies in the one over in the lodge, and now the thing is full of bunnies, so y'all might want to check that one out. But any kind of collection that you have, if you're interested in sharing them with the community, let Dick or I know. We would love to put them out there for folks to see. Right, so now I'm going to bring, would they have one? They got one? Pass it to Charles. Okay. Or you can,
You want me to go?
you can.
All right. This is a new special project, and we're working on doing even more to welcome new residents after they've been here a month or so by a note card with a message on it that's up here you can look at, and I will deliver them to the residents as they come up in time.
Show the card.
It's here somewhere. There you go.
We could pass that. You could pass that around. That is the card, and marketing has been kind enough to supply us with that. Correct? Okay.
Oh, there was one other thing I can't think of.
It's a welcome from the resident.
Yes, it's a welcome from the resident council, not the whole wide Covenant Woods community. And it's to encourage people to be aware of the council and to come and join in. Thanks.
Charlize, go ahead.
Well, I too am a newbie to this. The IT committee did not meet on March and is not going to meet in April. But once we do, I'll have a report.
Okay, Campus Grounds Committee meeting did take place on March 19th. And there were quite a few things that were reported. I guess Tim Kaufman's biggest discussion item was the East Cottage Drive sinkhole. But I know that was probably discussed at length. Tyler Wallace said that the fish population in the pond is doing well. The bluebirds are now active. Rick Richardson stated there were 2 full nests and no eggs yet. So more news to come on that. The bees are waking up, according to Arista. And they have 2 queens. The hive is to be divided in April. And they're going to be planting clover in the meadow and some other crops in other areas in the meadow up there. This will be for the bees. There are landscape plans being updated for Irby Garden, and I.J. Wing has got a landscape diagram that needs resident input. I guess under new business, King Williams High School juniors and seniors are coming out to volunteer on the grounds on 4/16 and 5/2. There are, I think, people from the Campus Grounds Committee that are going to be assisting in that. And other than that, that's about it.
Thank you very much. Fred?
Okay, I'm new to the Facilities Committee and was not at the last meeting, but I did have access to the minutes. The committee welcomed Matthew Driggs, the new security supervisor. The upgrade of the Wi-Fi network is near completion, we hope. The flags in front of the main entrance will be replaced. Those just have to be done periodically. They wear out. They have been already? Okay. The sinkhole on the road to the garden has been fixed. There was a problem probably with the sanitary sewer or some of the fill around that. Anyway, we hope that's done. There's a continuing issue with the grounds around the new cottage because it's a slope. They're going to have to pay special attention to make sure that the grass grows and holds the dirt in place. The road to the garden needs more gravel. That's just something has to be done periodically. The Capital Reserve study, and I hope someone can speak to what that is. I don't know what it is. That continues. Next meeting is the 14th of April.
And did you want to also report on the Garth as long as we got you?
Sure. Not a lot to report on the Garth. We're not ready to receive cremains at this point, but we're moving towards that. Some of the work has been done. My understanding is that the water pipes and the electrical supply have been fixed, and there's been concrete put over that to protect it. They're working on actually creating the 12 by 12 area where the cremains would be buried. But we're not ready to receive cremains yet. We can receive contributions, for lack of a better word. If people want to sign up and reserve a place for themselves, that can be done.
Thank you, Fred. Chuck, got a medical report or it's a health report for us.
Right. The Health Committee meets the third Thursday at 10 o'clock in Vista's private dining room. So the next meeting will be the 17th of this month. We've been taking a topic in Manor East every month to talk about. Last month, you'll probably recall, the benchmark for nurses was 1 nurse for 7 patients. LaFawn Jackson came to our meeting and talked about how they handle the call system in the nursing home. Sarah pendants are used along with call buttons and pull cords. If a nurse doesn't answer within 10 minutes, the call automatically goes to the charge nurse, and after another 10 minutes, it goes to LaFawn. All the nurses and aides have cell phones, allowing families to call in from outside. The committee approved a revised flow chart. The flow chart is for a patient returning from the hospital or emergency room to the nursing home, the steps that need to happen. And it's going to be presented at the town hall on
Snuggle up to the mic, Chuck.
April 30th, okay. Carrie was not there, but she gave her monthly report, and we'll put that in the minutes. Sarcopenia, the loss of muscle mass as we get older. The Life Fitness rep visited and said a new set of high quality Life Fitness equipment, that's what we have now is Life Fitness equipment, would cost about $70,000. So we're proposing that they put that in the strategic plan so that at some point we upgrade our equipment. Resistance training twice a week reduces mortality by more than 50% in our age group. Several patients at VCU have received letters saying that their physicians are joining ACO REACH. The chair of geriatrics was called and said this only applies to certain sicker patients. Anyone getting care at VCU needs to be aware, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody that gets such a letter. It basically, ACO REACH would be sending your bill to a private company, and so you'd be put from traditional Medicare into a privatization type of Medicare. That's all.
All right, the secretary kindly reminded me that I had forgotten something that should have been on the agenda, which is the approval of committee chairs. We've heard from all of the committees, but we do need to approve the committee chairs, and that's this, which you all received, I think. Anybody not get it? And anybody have any questions about that? Hearing, you have a question, go ahead. Okay. We get a second?
Let's vote.
Can we get a second?
Second.
Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Thank you very much. The committee chairs have been approved. We will now move to management reports.
Good morning, everyone. My list got longer as the committee gave the report, so I'm going to touch on a couple things just to make certain there's an understanding. The roadway has been corrected. What we felt was wrong ended up being what actually happened. There was a sanitary sewer line installed up there for the cottages that was in the middle of the road, but they failed to completely compact it when they installed it. So as there was a little swale that held water and sank through, it continued to compact it until it failed. So there was nothing wrong with the sewer line, but the compaction, because that line was so deep, it was about 15 feet deep, it helped it sink and broke that asphalt off. That's been corrected, and it's been corrected in a very good manner. We had civil engineers make certain that it was done well, so we should not see that ever come back again. On the Garth and the Irby Fountain area, The actual Garth area has been installed. It looks very nice. We continued to expand on that area around the fountain because it needed to be more serene, more peaceful, look like it's a place to belong, and be able to come and meditate. So that's what we're continuing to create. We did some work on the pergola. We did some work on the lighting. We corrected the concrete around the fountain. The fountain has been taken care of. We'll uncover it within the next week or so, get it filled back in. We've got another section of sidewalk we're going to be adding for when people come to it. Right now, there's only one entry that's closer to the building, and it doesn't make for normal traffic flow. So we're going to add a small section of sidewalk there. We've got some more plants to install. I've got new furniture coming for that area that will tie in with what we see on the porches of Manor East and of Manor. We'll continue with the furniture around the rest of the property a little bit later this year. So it will become a place where folks would enjoy going and sitting. The lighting that's there should reflect it. Having the fountain on, it should make for a very nice area. We were looking at a April 1st completion date. February was a month that we couldn't end up getting in there because of the weather, so it pushed us back. But it will be completed within the next few weeks. We will see that wrapped up. The other large thing that I had was on the door controls, just to let everyone know an update on that. I know there's been some things come out on Katy that's saying that certain things were completed, and where we're at today, we are very near completion. When we started the door control issues from 2 systems into one, we ran into an issue because of the network that it rode on. So the network issues, which were causing some of the door control issues, had to be corrected. So we engaged a company to correct the network issues, and the door controls got pushed back. So that door control project had to wait for the network to get corrected. The network finally got corrected. It was all moved over onto a single network. A gentleman who has been in the business for many, many years and has traveled the world working on networks found an issue that was unique to us that he had only seen once or twice in his entire career. So the network is completed. I have gentlemen here today wrapping up the door control portion. We have 2 closets after today that we're going to work on Monday that are related to Manor East, because we have to take special precautions for that area. We saved it for the very last. Once Manor East is done on Monday, the door control system, the networks will all come to a completion. So if there are issues that you may be having at a specific door, it will be related to your badge or a fob, not the door control system. So if you continue to have an issue, please let us know, and we can go into the system, correct it, and get it managed for you. Okay? So hopefully Monday, knock on wood, we will wrap these projects up. And then one very good thing I wanted to mention to folks. We had a gentleman here in the past, back when when I came in and through COVID, we had some lean years where we had to push out a couple of the positions that we had or not refill them. We are fortunate recently, we had a gentleman reapply who had been our 3rd shift maintenance person. And we actually had a day shift opening available. We're transferring that day shift position to a night shift position, and he has accepted that and will be coming back in that capacity. So it is budget neutral for us, but we are able to have a 3rd shift person here on campus Monday to Friday. So we'll have a 3rd shift person here and be able to cover most of those calls. But thank you guys very much. And thanks for understanding the door controls. Capital Reserve. We have had the completion of the Capital Reserve study done. We have a ton of numbers with a ton of information. I've got a follow-up meeting Monday that will allow us to start transferring that information into an asset management program. So once we've gotten that, it will all come to fruition, and we'll be able to project out much quicker and much farther with capital outlay. Thank you.
Good morning. Good mornings. I would like to give an update on the financial results as of February 28th. March just finished. That is the end of our fiscal year, and we just started our fiscal year 2026 on April 1st. So we don't have the March 31st numbers, but we will present that at our next meeting here. So our overall occupancy was 89.4%. And that is versus a budget of 91.3. The budget is pretty consistent throughout the fiscal year at 91.3. The one area where we exceeded our budget is in nursing. That continues to exceed the budget of 87%. We're running about 89% now. Independent living, assisted living, and memory support are all a little under budget. IL at 91.2% versus a budget of 93. AL, assisted living, is at 83.4% versus a budget of 87, and memory support is at 81% versus a budget of 90. Remember that memory support has a very limited number of beds, so even one bed that is not occupied has a material impact on that occupancy number. So our revenues for February were over budget about $90,000, and year to date we're over budget about $423,000. That is primarily related to nursing being over budget in occupancy, as well as an administrative fee that we charge on entrance fees coming in from new residents. Our expenses were under budget in February by $31,000, but they remain pretty significantly over budget year to date at $246,000. Our net income was positive for the month and remains positive for the year at $344,000. So this will be the first year that we finish in the black since 2017. So very positive for us. And then our net income was $234 for the month and $1.2 for the year. We did have some slight negative market activity in February. It was about $21,000, but year to date, we still have a very strong positive market result. Our days cash on hand and debt service coverage ratio, those are the two covenants that we are required to report from our bondholders, are both exceeding the budget and the requirement. Our days cash on hand is 404 days versus a budget of 315 and a requirement of 150. Our debt service coverage ratio is 2.43 versus a budget of 2.1 and a requirement of 1. Our net entry fees total $10.2 million as of February 28th, and our budget through that date was $8.4 million. So as you mentioned, marketing has done a fantastic job of bringing new residents in. In accounting, we're certainly working on our year-end work. It takes a little bit longer to close out the year-end. We want to make sure we receive all the invoices and get all the information needed to complete that. We continue to work on the audit, and we continue to work on segmented financials, and that is financials by level of care. So we can look at how independent living is doing versus how memory support's doing versus nursing, therapy, things like that. The other thing that I'd like to just give a brief update on is the special interest group, Finance Special Interest Group. We met the first week of March, and we discussed the importance of audits and what they are, why we do them, what they are, kind of some policies we follow around them, and why they're so important. Next week, Tom will be presenting. And then we have a couple more, I think 5 more after that, presentations in which I'll be presenting on 4, and that includes things like the budget, the actuarial report, things of that sort. And then we'll bring our Director of Human Resources in for one of our meetings to talk about how we recruit and how we try to get our employees to stay here and work long-term at Covenant Woods to take care of you. And because salaries and benefits and taxes are such a very large amount of what we pay out each month, each year, over 65% of our total expenses, it's very important from a finance perspective to get an understanding of what we're doing to try to make sure that we have people here, what we're doing to bring in CNAs, LPNs, nurses, et cetera. So, and Chuck, I don't know if you have anything else to add about that, but that's the summary. So Monday at 2 o'clock in the Commons, Tom will be presenting. All right.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank all the council members, including our newest council members, for your leadership and for helping to guide our community, working with my team to really have the best community possible. And would certainly like to acknowledge those of you who have served and are now going off the council, not board, council. Thank you for your leadership and your impact. It will truly have a lifelong impact on our community. I appreciate the patience and the grace and just a steady hand that the council represents in terms of helping guide the community forward in all of our ways that we want to move forward. So thank you for that. Couple topics that I'll touch upon at our meeting last week about the Covenant program. Someone did mention about all the changes to the handbook. I want to say that April is kind of a catch-up time for us as we begin our new fiscal year, and we know that there was 1 addition and 5 updates. And if you want some details, I have the information here. They should be already on Katie, and we are publishing the handbook for anybody who wants a hard copy. I think Megan has already taken a list, or is collecting a list for those who want a hard copy of the 2025 resident handbook. We can get that to you, but it does exist on Katie. And again, I have some details here as well. Nothing should be a surprise. We're committed to sharing that information either through the communique, through town hall meetings, council meetings, other forums that we've had to talk about some of those changes. So we'll always try to give you a precursor to what's coming before it's codified in the handbook altogether. And moving forward, we're going to make changes every month if there are any. So we should be able to manage this a little better throughout the year rather than trying to do a lot all at once, which I know is a lot for all of us to absorb. So at the end, when I'm done with some announcements, I can open up to questions if anybody has any specifics around the updates to the handbook. As you mentioned, on Monday, I'll be speaking more about strategic planning and how that really impacts finances and how we take all that into account. So that'll be with the resident finance group. On April 8th, we have coffee chat, both broadcast as well as live here in the multi-purpose room. And we'll have some updates from some of our colleagues on my management team. On the 28th is the town hall meeting at 2 o'clock. And it's going to be chock full, but we'll leave some time for Q&A. Next year, the next fiscal year, FY27, which begins April of 26, we will have 3 board openings. This is a board of director openings, and we know some residents have an interest in that. So you'll hear more about that come out September, October as we do some recruiting, but we anticipate having 3 openings as board members are coming off and finishing their terms, and we'll be looking for 3 seats to be filled at that time. So keep that in mind. As you know, I have office hours every Wednesday now in the lodge. I was visited by 1 person. But it was exciting to be over there. It's a different energy than even the manor, and I enjoyed it very much. And the last thing I'll share is that there was a duck sighting on Stewart Home Drive this week. So if we would like to know about that, we'd like to know where they are and what they're up to. Sometimes they go to the manor east courtyards, but obviously in the pond. So we want to take good care of our ducks. So let us know if you see it. But he was there for about an hour in front of someone's cottage. So there are plenty of pictures that we can share. And I guess the last thing I'll say is that at our town hall meeting, we will provide the strategic plan update for us all. We started tracking that come January, and thus far we have about 11 metrics of the 26 that we are meeting. And so we're off to a good start there, but we'll share more about that at the town hall meeting on the 28th. And with that, I'll turn it back over to the council.
Thank you very much. We now proceed to the portion of the meeting which involves residents' comments, I'm sorry. Anybody have anything they would like to say? Please wait for the microphone, hold it up close to your mouth, and you got 3 minutes. Yeah. Bruce is actually.
I just wanted to bring to your attention something that was pretty upsetting to some of us. The doors at the top of the stairs under the link were not working for at least 4 days, and it wasn't individual fobs, they were just not working. There was no notice. There should have been some notice at the bottom of the stairs saying that those doors were not working because, so a friend of mine who's 98 and uses a rollator came out of the K-wing door, couldn't get back in. So she went to the lift, which there's a sign at the bottom of the lift saying it's out of order, but there's no sign at the top of the lift saying it's out of order. She ended up somehow walking down the stairs holding her rollator. That is really dangerous. And I just didn't, we saw the security people Saturday. They came through the pool. They were checking doors. And I said, oh, you're checking doors. And he said, yeah, and that lodge door under the link isn't working. I said, well, you need a sign so people don't go up the stairs, because some of us get up and we don't want to go back down. And they said they couldn't put a sign without permission from the higher ups, and this was a Saturday. So I just felt like you should know that this is happening sometimes.
We have the higher ups right here, so
This is for Tim. I know in the Manor and a lodge, there are alerts that everyone gets in their apartment. And I think the last weather alert that came over, we didn't get anything in the cottages. So is there something in place to get in touch with us in the cottages when something like that happens? I just happened to turn my TV on and saw that we were under a tornado warning, but we didn't have any notification. Just wondering.
Tim, you want to respond to that?
Thank you, sir. Is there any more questions for me before I start answering? Absolutely. On the door control portion of it, it was actually Friday that the gentleman who found the issue on the network corrected the issue on the network. So the system, when you look at it, it will feed you information where things may be offline, but it also shows you where folks are scanning and giving permission or denying permission. Myself included, along with 2 other groups, the folks who do the security and the door controls and the folks who corrected the network, were all looking at it on Friday. What was unfortunate about that is it didn't show some of the doors that were offline and not reading completely. It showed a batch of ones that we knew were offline, but it didn't show them. So until folks let us know that certain doors weren't working, we didn't know. Not by looking at the program. We were ecstatic that the network had cleared up and things were looking correct. So my apologies for those doors being offline. When we started to learn about it all Saturday morning is when everything really started to take off. We did a complete download to all the exterior doors, and it cleared it all up, except for one door, which was the door at the elevator in the garage. And there were other issues specific to that door, and that's since been corrected. So we are well on our way to having all of the items related to the doors and the network corrected. Like I mentioned, we only have 2 more rooms after today that include the doors in Manor East, and then we will be done with transferring. The network is happy, So we should not see any of these issues moving forward. And if there are specific doors that folks cannot get in, it will be related to, or should be related to, either a badge or a fob. So we'll take a look at the numbers and the names that are in the program to make certain that access is in the system correctly. On the issue with security, with the doors, they always have permission to do that. So there will be some follow-up with the security officers to be able to mark doors, elevators, if something goes down. And Saturdays and Sundays, we have a maintenance person here who should be taking the lead on some of those corrections. So I believe that maintenance and security at the time when the doors went down, they were making rounds together to see which ones they had. And then I was working again with the door control company to make certain that those downloads took. So once we found out which ones, and then there were quite a few of the exteriors, so we did the complete download and then went on from there. It is extremely unfortunate that those certain doors went down like that. I can't apologize enough for the issues that it's caused everyone. This was a journey that I've never seen before. When we started on it, this was to save money and to move us into a better place. There was an exterior door program and an interior door program, and the hardware associated with both of those aged out at the same time, and both had issues. And monetarily, it was a no-brainer to move from 2 systems to 1 and become more efficient with what we had, a better door system, and one that was going to save us money. It would have been a waste to try to upgrade 2 systems at the same time and then still be stuck with 2 systems. So in that journey, we discovered that part of the issues were the network. So then we have to stop the doors, go to the network, correct the network, and now we're back to the doors. And it's almost done. It's almost done. It has been something that, it's been difficult. I've not had to deal with peeling back an onion as much as this has been. It's locked up. Yep, we have those gates. Both of the gates are turned off right now. Until we get past this part, we'll get them back online. And when we've turned those off, those are actually ones that show they're offline, but we know why they're offline. It doesn't show us a specific person not having access until you scan and it denies your access. So that's when we would have to pick it up. It's much easier if you can't get in a certain door you think you should get in. Let us know which door it is. We'll go in the system, correct it for you, and then we'll be able to move forward.
Let me follow up on something else that was said earlier. Somebody had a question about the external elevator underneath the link.
Yep.
That's been out of service.
I know Dwayne has worked on that numerous times. I'll follow up with Dwayne about where that's at. We actually had a local company who took care of that for years, who had installed it. And they got to a point with for whatever reasons, they just quit servicing it. They didn't want to come back to Covenant Woods to take care of it. So we found another company that helps us with it, but they're out of Roanoke. So that is how some of that works, is that you have a vendor who, for whatever reasons, they move on. But it is something I'll follow up with Dwayne about that. That elevator should work all the time.
People in the cottage, don't they get a warning over their phone?
There should have been, yep. When we do, there are 2 parts to the systems. The PA systems are an overhead announcement that we use on the fire panels. So right now we have to go to each fire panel to set off the tornado alerts that will happen within the buildings they're in. On the cottages, the only way to reach that is through the notification system that's on the phones. And I'll have to go back and look. I don't believe a notification went out on the phones. So it did not happen at that point in time. which makes certain it will in the future. We have quite a few safety capital projects in the budget for this year that will allow us to tie the panels together on a notification system that will do it all at the single push of a button. So we will be able to set all 3 panels off at the same time for tornado notifications. More importantly, what I'm working toward is like an active shooter, or the terminology is changing. It's an active aggressor. So we will be able to do
much better.
active aggressor announcements across campus and send the phone alerts at the same time. And hopefully that doesn't take me as long as the door controls. But we'll get there. We'll get there.
Any other comments from residents?
Hi. I wanted to just tell people that it was my idea to go to visit Rainbow Trout Granola. We've been eating it for 4 years when they first started. It is a woman-owned business, and it's real. I'm so excited. Please come. They then have both regular or gluten-free, which is even better. So it's absolutely delicious. I've given out samples. If you want a sample, just let me know, and I'll give you a sample. I wanted to let you know, Tim, who's a lot of attention today, will be speaking at VACRA, and it's basically, do I need a work order for that? Okay. And what is the responsibility of the Director of Facilities? So that's Tuesday, the 15th, in the Commons at 10:30. We have had wonderful speakers, all the management, and we continue to forge forward in order to educate everybody as to what people are doing here to have us. Last thing, that there was a question last month about the cost of the guest rooms, and I don't know what happened with that, and I didn't see an answer. Is there an answer?
Thank you. Management is working on some various initiatives for the guest room, different changes that we are implementing. So please be on the lookout for an announcement. We've almost finalized all of that. So we will bring that back for sure by the next council meeting.
Great.
And let you know what's going on with those guest rooms.
Thank you.
This is for Tim. On that outside elevator, we're working on about 6 months of it being out of service.
I'll follow up with Dwayne where it's at.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
So tomorrow at 10 o'clock, there's a Zoom meeting for VACRA where the chairman, the new chair of NACRA, is going to be speaking about how things are progressing on the national level. So I think that's an important thing to bring up.
Any other comments? Hearing none, we'll move to Residents' Council comments.
I have one and I'm not sure who to address it to, but have you all maybe, anyway, have you all considered pets being buried in the Goth? If you haven't, something to think about. A couple of people have mentioned that it might be nice if pets' ashes could be buried somewhere in the Goth. Okay. The other thing, the handbook one thing that I hear from folks is that when changes are made, we get kind of, look at this page, here's the change. But we don't see what it was before it was changed. If there's some way we could see the wording, it's like, this is what it read before, mark, here's the new stuff. That's, I think, that's one thing, it would be nice to see that.
I was real concerned. Is this still on? Okay. I was really concerned about the price of the guest rooms because when we had the celebration of life for my husband, some of my relatives stayed at the Hampton and paid $135. They got Wi-Fi, free breakfast, and access to all of the sports stuff they have there and all. And to hear that we were going to go to 200 seemed excessive to me. It didn't matter what day of the week you were at the Hampton, it was the same price.
Thank you. And we'll be bringing something back at the next council meeting to address that and let you know what we're doing with them.
Any other comments from council?
Yeah. I just, a few things that I missed when I was giving my comments about getting new residents. We try to make sure that representation on council is from all sections. So we like to have people from the cottages, from the manor, and from lodge. So that's why I need people, because I'm in a cottage, so I need people from the manor and from the lodge who are willing to be on the committee, looking for people to run next year.
Go ahead.
Okay. For the new council members, if you would stop by up here on your way out, I have a star for your name tag. And I just want to remind you all that having that star on your name tag identifies you to other residents that you are on the resident council. If they have a question for you and you don't know the answer to it, don't make up something. Tell them that you will find out the answer to their questions, but kind of keep it in your mind until you can get home and write it down. That's the purpose of having that, to identify who's on council. So I have some stars here, and I'd love to put them on your name tag.
Anything further? Any new business? Anything else? We have I'm sorry? Tom?
Juanita, you mentioned the equity market performance in February is not being too great. March will be much worse. Today, the market's down over 1,000 points in response to the tariff announcements. So my question is, all of us obviously have to be concerned about our equity exposure in our retirement accounts, but to what extent are Covenant Woods assets themselves exposed to the equity markets, and who looks after that? Who makes recommendations about changes, that sort of thing?
Thank you. So our board finance committee and board govern our investments. They're at Charles Schwab, and they govern that. And we get a report at least quarterly. They report to the finance committee and board to discuss our investments. But the finance committee governs that.
And any estimate of a percentage of Covenant Woods assets that are exposed to the equity markets?
I don't have that now. I don't have the policy in front of me, so I'm not quite sure. Yeah, but I can bring that back.
Okay, I'd love to know more about that. And the finance group, I'm sure, will dig into that a bit as well.
Yeah, I was getting ready to say that's a great topic for if any residents are interested in.
And the capital reserve study, that's an assessment of our physical assets and how long they will last, when you need to think about repairing and replacing and that sort of thing. Will that ultimately be accompanied by some sort of a fiscal reserve policy statement that would tell us how much we need to be putting aside? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Super.
It'd certainly help with budgeting and things like that.
The finance committee in embryo will be getting into that, I'm sure, with you, but I just had a concern about that and a question about that. Thank you.
Thank you.
We got a question from Fred.
Yeah, I appreciated Janet's comment about pets. Many of us do have cats or dogs, and I've been wondering with a couple of 12-year-old cats, what happens when they pass on? Do I just take the body to the vet? is there some possibility that we could have a place to bury them? I don't think we're talking about cremation, but someplace at Covenant Woods that they could be put. I don't know whether that's a facilities issue, whether it's a health issue, or what. Has this ever come up before?
It has at my last community, Massachusetts, and we had residents who, behind the scenes in the darkness of night, started burying their pets up near the garden. So we kind of called that out and said, is this a desire of this campus to have a pet cemetery, if you will? And they agreed, yes, that's something that we would like. And so much like the other processes, we kind of moved through that process, similar to how we developed the Garth, to say, is it wanted and needed? Where would it be? And, you know, the specifics of the policy. So we worked through that, and they do have a pet cemetery. Now, that's not every campus, but you can certainly make the argument that on our campus, our pets are part of our family. So what to do is a fundamental question. Maybe that's something that the council will want to give us some direction on to pursue. We have a lot of land, but I'm not sure we want to commingle. I personally don't feel that that's right, but I think we could maybe consider a space for pet burial. Yeah.
Thank you.
Anything else, Fred? Any other comments from residents or?
But don't do it in the
group?
middle of the night. Let us help you.
All right, in that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Moved and seconded? Moved and seconded. We stand adjourned, ladies and gentlemen.